امروز در خدمت خانم میشل کلاینت OAM شهردار سابق شهرداری منینگهام و عضو فعلی این شهرداری هست. در این رابطه مصاحبه‌ای رو با ایشون خواهیم داشت. Hi Michelle, thank you so much for accepting Radio Neshat invitation for giving this interview. Could you please let us, our audience, know a little bit more about yourself? Where are you born and where did you spend your childhood?
So I was born here in Melbourne. My parents came from overseas. So my father's German, my mother's Maltese. And I grew up in this area. So I went to school in Doncaster. My teenage years were in Warrandyte and then in Templestowe. So I've lived all my life here.
Okay, great. And by the time you were a teenager, did you do through any social activity that motivated you to come to lead you to coming to this point where you are at the moment?
It's interesting that you say that. When I look back at my school reports, they all write she's a leader. She's always got great ideas. And I look and think I used to always lead, groups. And if I wanted to do something, I'd organise it. I was a dancer, so I learnt ballet. I learnt drama. I was in theatre, so as in professional theatre by the age of, I think I was 17. Performing at the Arts Centre in Athenaeum. But I think there's people that are born leaders and there's good leaders and bad leaders. And I always desired to do something good. And, when you've got that natural ability that people just come to you, I think I look back and see, these childhood things that grew into something more. Politics wasn't really discussed in the home, but it was. So if it was on TV, my parents would discuss it. So I was always interested in listening and learning. So I think it brought me this sense of thirst for representation, but in a positive way that affects people.
Great. What was your first experience getting involved with the council? What motivated you to getting involved with the council at first?
Yes, I run my own business and I was at the point where I wanted to give back more to my community. I have always had an interest in politics. So I would watch, on election day on the TV and my friends thought I was crazy. So I'd sit there by myself and watch. But one time I was, and it was separate to, that thirst and that thinking about doing more, not knowing it was local government. I fell on a footpath and I cut my leg and someone said that this lady broke her hip. So I wrote to council and said, there's this very slippery area and, it's been a problem. Love to talk to you more about it. And the letter that I got back was, thank you, we'll look into it. I thought, I'm not making trouble. I'm just trying to look for a solution or understand. Then I went to a breakfast and someone was saying later in the year, there's council elections. And at that stage, the councillors were very dysfunctional. They weren't community focused. They were focused on just their thing. And so someone tapped me on the shoulder at this breakfast and said, you should run for local government. You love helping people. You like to problem solve. So with that wanting to do more, this letter that I'd sent, and then someone just tapping me and telling me something about myself, I went, okay, I'll give it a go.
Great.
And I had no idea what I was getting into.
Oh, it's amazing in life. Sometimes you feel something bad, experience as a bad stuff, and then it leads you to a good experience.
Yes, yeah.
Great. By the time you were mayor, what social activity did you go through that has a great positive impact on the society?
Yeah, well, in my year of mayor, I wanted to do something that left something positive, so much bigger. So I'd felt that I hadn't done enough for our young people at that stage. And so I asked for some information. And what really came out through local government was the services for mental health was very hard for young people to access locally. And so I raised money, $100,000 raised to help a service come in to give them seed funding for them to come in to be a service that was closer for youth to access for their mental health.
Wow.
That was the beginning. And today we actually have a permanent service in Doncaster, which is much closer for young people to come to access help. So they've got a future, so they can see beyond now that might not look so open and light.
That's amazing. I always been witnessing you give great advocacy and support to Iranian community. A few years ago, you held an event in a memory of Mahsa Amini. Could you please give us a little bit more information about that event that you run?
Fantastic, yes. It was a very hard time for the Iranian community. And having met some people in 2020 that said, there's a lot of people in the area and we'd like to connect with you. We don't know how to. And I said, let's do a Zoom. And from that, the relationship began. When this horrible event happened in your homeland, a lot of locals individually came and said that they felt very separated from their land and they wanted something that gave them a feeling that they were there but here. And there was lots of talk. So in listening to a few people that came and understanding that in many cases a lot of the advocacy and what was needed is a federal issue. So I left that with federal, it's not local. But I looked at what can we do here in a local level, in a local context that has meaning. And so with the Australian Iranian Society of Victoria, hope I got that correct.
Yes.
In speaking to them, it was about having a place that's very local that people can come and quietly reflect, where they felt safe. And it was something that could be done. Now, it took time to come because there's lots of little pieces and you have to be sensitive to a community as well. So it was really wonderful to be able to share that and say, we respect, some things are out of our control. But what's in our control is to bring a place where people can quietly come together, in an open space, to quietly reflect, to have solace and have peace, because, it's not that easy to go back sometimes to your homeland. So I wanted something that was meaningful.
Thank you so much for that. By the time your service as a mayor ended in the council, you re-elected as a member of the council. Could you please give us a little bit of information about your key action during those times?
So in the last election or this election?
Last election.
Last election. It was really interesting because we were COVID. We were locked down. We couldn't go out. We couldn't engage with people. And so it was really difficult because you ended council term so disconnected. And I think the advocacy for me was really about, because I didn't know what was ahead. Nobody knew what was ahead. But how do you remain where people can come to you, that they feel that they could call you, email you, and you respond and either direct them or give them some comfort. Leadership is very difficult because you don't always make people happy, everyone happy. But leadership is about making people feel comfortable that they can come to you, explain what's going on and help them navigate what that is for them. So I think the advocacy was about making people feel okay to come out, not hide and feel locked away and imprisoned in their place, in a very difficult time, in a very uncertain time. So I think it really fell into that space of just making people feel that you were present.
Thank you so much. I heard you're running for the office again. Good luck on that.
Thank you.
What's your future plan and what message you have for the people who want to vote you?
I think people have known me for the last few years. They know what they're going to get. And I can't change who I am. I love people. I love connecting. I love people feeling heard and feeling that they're not alone and disconnected. So I think if you've ever met me, you either like me or you don't like me. I can't change those that don't like. But I think for those that have met me, they know that I will represent them, that I will always be an open door, that I'm financially responsible. So there's lots of things in council. So over 100 services And a lot of people, they don't realise how big and complex it is. So I've always made responsible decisions financially for our future. I've always been an open door to listen, to hear, to make sure people feel heard. But it's always balanced in the decision making. You know, one or two people coming to you saying you need to do this, you need to do that, it's not always reflective of thousands of people. So I think it's really important to remember that being familiar and knowing that a person aligns. If I align with you in your values, and I'll always represent you as best I can.
Thank you so much. I know you're very well known among the Iranian community, and we wish you lots of luck in coming election. Thank you for giving us your time.
And thank you for the honour
of being
with you today.
Thank you.